Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. So we're going to be taking our front differential and probably hardware from bag number 3 mostly. And bag number 5 has all of our swing arms and such, so I'm going to set this aside because we're not going to need this for a little while. Got some nice aluminum hardware here. That's really sweet. They're not kidding when people say that these cars are bulletproof. Basically, you can just snap these off like that. Those may need a little cleanup. Always make sure there's nothing left on the tree. And that's the right size for our build. So 4x10s. Confirm the titanium that we have here is the right size. Yep. So our first piece is this piece right here, and it's easy to figure out. We've got the countersunks, so those are going to face outwards, and this little curvature faces up, and that is going to mount right here. So I'm going to go ahead and thread those up. Let me go ahead and get this hardware out of here. I'm keeping it separate from this because this stuff has already technically been used. There are pieces we're going to be pulling out of here, but I always like to keep the stuff that is with a particular bag with, you know, everything that it comes with. So and we've got our kingpins, our turnbuckles, front left and right drive shafts. We're going to need this. So let's start by cutting some threads here. Staple there, throw that away. Don't want that getting mixed into anything. And this is the kind of thing that you don't want to tighten them both down, you know, tighten one down all the way before putting the second one in. You don't want it to kind of be misaligned or have tension more to one side than the other. So get it mostly tight and then get the second one in. And then kind of go back and forth. Okay, good. So next step is, let's go ahead and get this in here. So we need, I'm not sure if they are here or if they were on that first tree. They probably were, because I'm not seeing another tree of those parts. So let's go to the parts box that I've started for this kit. I'm not sure these are the right ones. Let me see. Okay, well those aren't the right position. Let's see if they even fit. Yeah, those are loose. Those don't fit, so those don't go here. As I thought, these are for the outers. And it's not those. That piece goes over here. It's the white ones. And we had a different pair of those. So let me check my build. Okay, front. Okay, that's the rear suspension, front side, rear side. So, where's the front suspension? Front suspension, rear side, which is going to be this piece because there's the drive shaft that points to the rear. And we want the high position, not the low position. So those are basically our two positions, is up or down. And so we want both of these facing up. And these are not the right ones either. Okay, there's got to be a tree with these parts somewhere. Or they're loose, which they're not in there. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video and look around and figure out where I've got those or where they've gotten off to. I'll let you know if they're in a different bag. Okay, I did have them in my parts box. I just I didn't see them amongst the other ones, so I was assuming that they were giving us several different ones, but there's only so many positions, I guess. So those fit in like that. And we're going to need this shortly enough, so let's go ahead and figure out where those are and what position we need. So, front. So, let's see. There's our rear side, and so where's our front side? Okay, that's for this. So do we not have an adjustment for the insert for these? Is it just a centered piece that has no positioning? I think so. That's odd. But that's the way it looks on the directions here. There's just a center. There's no up, down, left, right. So I guess that makes sense, because any toe we would be adjusting from out at the wheels. We don't need to do that from the kingpins. So basically, while we have a whole bunch of adjustments for the rear end, as far as how much toe and how much Oh, it's not called caster in the rear. It's called oh damn it. It's 5 in the morning. Jeez. Roll center. Excuse me. Thank you. Anyway, so got those taken care of. I always start a box like this for every car, and then things like any small spare parts, shock absorber parts, differential shims, differential gaskets, things like that, all just go into these boxes. And that way I've got at least, usually sometimes as many as 2 boxes per car. Might have a larger one that holds sway bars and things, and springs go in their own boxes. But these are all just, you know, specific parts for the car for tuning and repair. Okay, so now we need to put in our bump stop screws, ride height adjust screws, the set screws. Those are going to be these big guys right here. Okay, let's figure out our orientation on these. That's going to be top and forward. So this is left. Does it say left on here? Yep, left. We got an L. Okay, so our droop screws are going to go down from above. Just going to get them flush with this surface more or less. We'll adjust those when we get to the tuning board. So we need these 2 big washers. We got 2 kingpins. And we need some 4x22s, which are going to be these big guys, which I do not have in those are not in the kit with the titanium stuff, so let's mark that as something to possibly get. Always good to check this. Look at that, nice and smooth. And the washer goes inboard. So let's go ahead and drop that on down. Drop in our washer. Drop in our arm. Okay. And this faces with the tab downward. Yep. There's even a notch in the chassis for that. Just making sure I've got this oriented correctly. Okay. Let's ease those off a little bit. Quarter turn each until we get some good movement here. There we go. So don't over tighten those. just if you tighten them and they don't move, just back them off like a 1/8 of a turn, a 1/5 of a turn until you get nice smooth action. So I need to start setting up for our shocks. And let's check our front shock mount position, which is I'm sorry, I was looking at a different sheet all day and I'm kind of okay. Oh, right here, shock position. Okay, so front is middle. It's probably a good idea to put a little bit of Loctite on here. Just a little bit. That's probably way too much. Okay. That was step 25. We're on to 26. Now we need to put together our arms, our turnbuckles. Okay, so front, left, so we want to point them that way, both of them like that. So again, not something I'm going to make you watch. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Okay, so now that I've got these done, we're going to take, we're going to press this in. And then this one. Remember, you want to make sure that you've got your notches facing the correct directions. This is such a handy item. Okay, so let's check our sheet, and we are going to be going into the middle inner. So this one and this one. And these go rearward like that. Okay, so I think these small ones, I can let them self-tap. Try. I'm using the wrong wrench on the titanium. these big ones, I'll go ahead and thread them in. Yeah, that is kind of odd that we have 3 M3s to hold this onto the diff case, and at the same time we have 2 M4s doing the same job. Kind of curious, but okay. Okay, that was steps 26, 27. Now we're on to 28, and we are still into bag number 5. So we're going to be putting together the steering knuckles and out drives, and basically finishing off the front suspension. So let's just kind of lay out a few items. Okay, these have some markings in here. 17.5 degrees left and 17.5 degrees right. So there's maybe aftermarket parts that give us different degrees, or maybe not. I haven't noticed any available yet, but maybe that's an aftermarket part coming down the road. We're going to need our 2 drive shafts. We're going to need our steering knuckles. We are going to need these 4 braces that we cut off that parts tree earlier. That's our little front bumper. Okay. We are going to have these blue things, and for the life of me I don't know why they are used along with the bearings instead of just having the bearings. Well, I guess because they're in metal, so to make a firm seat you can't do metal and metal. I was thinking those. What these are going to do is they're going to get this direction folded down. They're going to take up the space that the tolerances have to be made to allow for. In other words, you can only make a bearing, bearings are, quote unquote, a standard size. Let's say it's 15 millimeters in diameter. So you make your part with 15 millimeters on the inside. Well, this may not fit in this, or it may fit in with a certain amount of room to jiggle because of the tolerances in the manufacturing process. You can only get so close to 15 millimeters, and if this is exactly 15 millimeters and this is exactly 15 millimeters, you're not going to be able to get it in without pressing it in. And I don't mean like pressing with your fingers, I mean like a hydraulic press or something, because that tolerance is going to be so close that you just can't reproduce it again and again reliably. And that's why we have these little plastic pieces here. Now we need to trim off this excess piece, and I'm going to do that carefully with an X-Acto knife instead of using my normal trimming method using just a pair of cutters. Okay, so we are going to be putting these with the edge in. So pop one of these into the bearing like this and like that. And then we can slide these in here. And again like that. See, what this does is it allows us to use metal parts like these outdrives and not have a bunch of slack in the suspension. So left and right. That doesn't want to go in there. Let's try. Oh, what do I have that I can use? Is the other wrench big enough? There we go. Just needed to get it started. Looks like it's as far in as this one is, so good. Okay. We need a small shim. There's our other shim. Grub screw and a pin. So these do not have a divot in them. Okay, maybe we don't need the shims right away. We may need them down the road when these things seat in a little bit. I'm not going to try and force that. Is there a problem with the pin? Let's try. Let's make sure this, yeah, pin slides right through. Okay, maybe we need to press these bearings in a little tighter. Okay, I'm going to pause up for a minute, get a drink, and figure this out. Okay, that wasn't too difficult. What I needed to do was, one of them was fine, the other one I just needed to seat that bearing in a little further. I just used a wrench that would fit down on top of the reese, but not be pressing against the shield of the bearing, and got it popped into place. And so now I have the pin down there, so you want to hold this from either side so the pin doesn't slide out on you. And then we're gonna tighten down this grub screw, and we're definitely gonna put some Loctite on this. Not excessive. That's excessive. I'm going to go ahead and take an X-Acto knife and just clean these up a little bit where they came off the tree. Okay. So positioning on those is 0 degrees. So okay, let's see, we've got 2 like that and 1 in the pair in the center. So in other words, we only need 1 of these per side. My build setup says use the center, which is 0 degrees. Now, if you place these with the hole on the high side here, that's going to make -1 degrees. And if you place them so the hole is to the bottom, you're going to have +1 degrees. And that's looks like it's adding to or subtracting from caster. So we're going to leave these at 0. So these go in our parts box. And those are things we may use to tune our suspension. We may try different settings down the road, but right now we're going to go with 0. So those just slide in here like that. And we need some bushings. We have a pair of tall ones and a pair of short ones. And we're going to need from top and the bottom a 4x16, which we do not have in titanium. So that's going to be something to, again, to look into. And that's a good one to get because, let's see, we have a 4x10 and a 4x16, 2 of each. And one goes at the top, one goes at the bottom. It's our rotation point here, and that's a lot of unsprung weight to remove potentially. I mean, it's not huge, but it is very much unsprung weight. It's at the far end of the swing arms. Unsprung weight, if you're not familiar, is weight that is not, it's not carried by the suspension. In other words, the more weight you have out here, the slower your suspension is going to react. The more mass, the harder it is to get into motion, and then the harder it is to stop again once it's in motion. So reducing unsprung weight is one of the #1 things you can do to improve the handling of a real-world car or a model car. So let's see. We needed the 1/8, and we may actually not be able to get these in titanium because they look like they are a specific type of head. And these we could probably get. The size of or the shape of the head may not actually matter. We'll see. So our long spacer, our long bushing goes in the bottom. I'm just going to pull this out of here. The long bushing is going to go down here like that, and the short one is going to go up. Now I can tell you right off the bat, when tightening these, we're going to have to be careful about not putting too much pressure, because too much pressure is going to make that swell, and it will fill that hole and it will lock up this joint, and you won't be able to get smooth motion out of that. In fact, the only way to fix that will be to pry them out and replace them, because once they are damaged, they're damaged. So now we have to position this in between those bushings, and we're going to need to have a little bit of Loctite handy. Because these are going to be metal into metal. Remember, do not over tighten. Let the Loctite do its thing. Okay, tall bushing down, short bushing up. Okay. Here we have 2 steering assemblies. So now we need our upper kingpins. Gonna need a pair of lock nuts. And then we're gonna need pair of 3x22s. I've got some of those on order in titanium. Yeah, no, I don't have any. Okay. So our kingpin comes in from the rear, like that. And we want to use, I'm guessing the outermost. Yep. No, innermost. So we'll be adjusting that turnbuckle big time. I didn't tighten those down very far. There we go. Let's get that nut on here. Just get it started. Same down here. We'll tighten those up in a minute. God, can't hold on to that. Okay, now to get things started, I think I'm gonna need to buy a new wrench for turnbuckles, or another one, because this is a 5mm max size and it does not fit. These must be like a 5.5mm. So for now, I'm just gonna have to use the crescent wrench. And I'm just gonna adjust these a bit to tighten them in so that this dog bone isn't coming out on me. That's a long way from done, but it's enough to keep the dog bone from popping out. Okay, gotta take this one out. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in this rear hole for a moment, just to keep the dog bone from coming out while I make some adjustments to this. This is those weird kingpins that don't really have a normal wrench fitting. I don't know why. Again, just like on the rear one, it's gonna hit bottom. It's a lock nut, so you don't need to crank it down. Just turn it till it stops and leave it at that. I just want to check this turnbuckle size. Yep, 5.5. I'm going to pause up the video and see if I can find one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.